Hello children, hope you're safe, healthy and happy at home, and a lot of learning is going on these days. I hope you're making best use of the opportunities. Let's now quickly try to recollect what all we have covered till now. In the writing skills, we have learned story writing, informal letters and diary entries. And as far as your prose book Beehive is concerned, we have finished the first chapter, that is the fun they had, and poem 1 and poem 2, that is the road not taken and wind. And I hope you are reading your NCERT textbooks and are trying to understand the concepts and ideas given in them in a better way and are trying to comprehend them. Today, let's try to understand and learn chapter 2 of your textbook Beehive, The Sound of Music, which has got 2 parts. Today we'll be looking at the first part. Evelyn Glennie listens to sound without hearing it, and this has been written by Deborah Cawley. Now, dear children, you must be wondering, how is it possible to listen without hearing? That is what we are going to learn, how this has happened. It really sounds mysterious. The Sound of Music, the first part about Evelyn Glennie, is a motivational story which inspires us to overcome our challenges in life and to achieve success. So let's move on to the lesson. Please open your textbooks and look into the textbooks as I read. And if you don't have a textbook, please listen carefully as I read, and we will also be understanding the different paragraphs by looking at the word meanings and try to comprehend them. The Sound of Music, Part 1. Evelyn Glennie listens to sound without hearing it. Rush hour crowds jostle for position on the underground train platform. A slight girl, looking younger than her 17 years, was nervous yet excited as she felt the vibrations of the approaching train. It was her first day at the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London, and daunting enough for any teenager fresh from a Scottish farm. But this aspiring musician faced a bigger challenge than most. She was profoundly deaf. Let's now look at some of the words which you might find difficult and try to understand their meanings. Jostle, push roughly. Slight means small and thin. Daunting means frightening or scary. Teenager, a person who is in his teens. Evelyn was 17 years old. Aspiring musician, a person who wants to be a musician. Profoundly deaf, absolutely deaf. Now here in the first paragraph, the writer has taken us to the scene of the train platform, underground train platform, and a small thin girl who was 17 years old, but still she did not appear as a 17-year-old girl, and she was very nervous and she was excited also as she felt the vibrations of the approaching train. Now, why she was nervous? Because she was moving to London from Scotland. Evelyn belonged to Scotland, which had more of farms and countryside, and London had a very fast life. So she was not used to that life, so she was nervous. But why she was excited? She was excited because she was going to join the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London. But What was the challenge she had? Her challenge was that she was profoundly deaf, completely deaf. Now, moving ahead, Evelyn Glennie's loss of hearing had been gradual. Her mother remembers noticing something was wrong when the 8-year-old Evelyn was waiting to play the piano. They called her name and she didn't move. I suddenly realized she hadn't heard, says Isabel Glennie. Isabel Glennie is Evelyn Glennie's mother. For quite a while, Evelyn managed to conceal her growing deafness from friends and teachers. But by the time she was 11, her marks had deteriorated and her headmistress urged her parents to take her to a specialist. It was then discovered that her hearing was severely impaired as a result of gradual nerve damage. They were advised that she should be fitted with hearing aids and sent to a school for the deaf. Everything suddenly looked black, says Evelyn. Now let's look at some of the difficult words. Gradual means in phases or slowly. Conceal means to hide. Specialist, a doctor specializing in a particular part of the body. Deteriorated, worsened or reduces. Urged means to request. Impaired means weakened or it had become weak. Now let's try to understand the paragraph. Now let's see Evelyn Glennie's loss of hearing. It was a gradual process. It didn't happen all of a sudden that one fine day she discovered that she was deaf. It happened slowly. It was when she was 8 years old, her mother realized this. When she was waiting to play the piano and her name was being called and she did not respond because she did not hear. And the mother, Isabel Glennie, says for quite a long time she concealed this fact, the fact that she could not hear. She concealed this fact from her teachers and her friends because, as I told you, it was gradual. The process was gradual. Slowly she was losing her power of hearing. And then by the time she was 11, her performance in the exam was not good. Performance in school was not good. It deteriorated. That means it became worse. And her teachers started complaining. And her headmistress asked her parents to take her to a specialist. So she was taken to a specialist. And what did the specialist say? That she has lost her power of hearing and gradually there was damage in her nerve. And so the specialist also advised them that she should be fitted with hearing aids and she should be admitted in a school for deaf. You know, in many places there are special school for these kind of children who are differently abled. That is how we call them these days. If they are, deprived of one particular, sense, they are abled in a different way. They are gifted in a different way. You know, our Prime Minister also calls such people as Divyangs. So we don't say that they are disabled or they are handicapped. We don't use these words now. Instead, we say differently abled children. So Evelyn was also differently abled. And then what happened? Her parents had taken her to the specialist and the specialist advised them to put her in a special school for the deaf. Now let's see what happened after that. But Evelyn was not going to give up. She was determined to lead a normal life and pursue her interest in music. One day she noticed a girl playing a xylophone and decided that she wanted to play it too. Most of the teachers discouraged her, but percussionist Ron Forbes spotted her potential. He began by turning two large drums to different notes. Don't listen through your ears, he would say. Try to sense it some other way, says Eveline. Suddenly I realized I could feel the higher drum from the waist up and the lower one from the waist down. Forbes repeated the exercise, and soon Eveline discovered that she could sense certain notes in different parts of her body. I had learned to open my mind and body to sounds and vibrations. The rest was sheer determination and hard work. Now, the word meanings. Pursue means to follow. Xylophone is a musical instrument with a row of wooden bars of different lengths. Percussionist is a person who plays the drum, the tabla, etc. A person who plays different musical instruments. Potential means quality or ability that can be developed. Potential means it is there within you. You need to develop it. Now, as we are looking through the lesson and trying to understand Eveline, how she heard without hearing. She was very determined and she did not give up. And she also decided to pursue her interest in music. She had great passion for music, and one day she saw a girl playing a xylophone and decided that she would also play it. But many of her teachers discouraged, Why did they discourage? Because they felt she cannot hear. And when she cannot hear, how is it possible for her to learn this particular instrument? But Ron Forbes, who was a percussionist, identified her potential. He felt that no, this girl has the potential, but it needs to be developed. So what did he do? He tuned two large drums together. Two drums he kept together with different notes. And then what did he tell her? He told her, don't listen through your ears. He asked her to feel the vibrations. He asked her to sense the music or the tone of the instruments. Suddenly, she started feeling the vibrations. What does she say? She started feeling the vibrations, that is, the higher notes of the drum from the upper portion of her waist. Waist is the middle part of her body. So from the upper portion of the waist, she could feel the higher notes, and from the lower part of the waist, she could feel the lower notes. And through different parts of her body, she could sense or she could feel the vibrations of the instruments. And what did she do? She had learned to open her mind and body to sounds and vibrations. And then we know what happened. She was determined and she worked really hard. She never looked back from that point onwards. She toured the United Kingdom with a youth orchestra, and by the time she was 16, she had decided to make music her life. She auditioned for the Royal Academy of Music and scored one of the highest marks in the history of the Academy. She gradually moved from orchestral work to solo performances. At the end of her 3-year course, she had captured most of the top awards. Now, let's look at some of the difficult words. Youth means young people, people like who are in college or high school. Orchestra, group of musicians. You also know that in our islands also there are so many orchestra groups, and you might have also watched their programs where different instruments are played. Audition means gave a short performance so that the director could decide whether she was good enough. Orchestral work means group performance, performing in a group of musicians. Solo means to perform single or alone. Now, from that point of time, Evelyn never looked back. She kept on moving ahead with determination. So she toured the United Kingdom with a youth orchestra. That means with a group of youth who could play different instruments. She traveled and she was only 16 at that time. And then she decided to make music her life, as she had great passion for music. And then here the writer is taking us back when she had auditioned for the Royal Academy of Music. And she had scored one of the highest marks in the history of the Academy. That means none other candidates had scored the marks which Evelyn had scored. She gradually moved from orchestral work. Till now she was performing with the orchestra, and then slowly she started performing alone, without the group also. At the end of the 3-year course, she had captured most of the top awards, means she received many awards, all the top awards. And for all this, Evelyn won't accept any hint of heroic achievement. If you work hard and know where you're going, you will get there. And she got right to the top, the world's most sought after multi-percussionist with a mastery of some 1,000 instruments and hectic international schedule. Most sought after means most popular or in demand. Now, Evelyn was so humble and she was so down to earth. She was not proud of her achievements. She would never accept any hint of heroic achievement. So what she used to say, that if you work hard and know where you have to get, or what is your goal, if you are focused towards your goal, you will definitely achieve them if you work hard. And that was her humbleness. And she got right to the top, and she became the world's most sought after multi-percussionist. That means she was in demand. She could play so many instruments, more than 1,000 instruments. Children, imagine, without the power of hearing, she could play 1,000 instruments, and she had a very busy schedule, international schedule. That means she performed in many places. She was in demand, and she toured to different places and performed there. It is intriguing to watch Evelyn function so effortlessly without hearing. In our 2-hour discussion, she never missed a word. Men with bushy beards give me trouble, she laughed. It is not just watching the lips, it's the whole face, especially the eyes. She speaks flawlessly with a Scottish lilt. My speech is clear because I could hear till I was 11, she says. But that doesn't explain how she managed to learn French and master basic Japanese. Let's look at some of the words. Intriguing means fascinating and curious. We want to know how it happened. That curiosity. Flawlessly means without a fault or mistake. Lilt means a way of speaking, like we can say accent. Our accent is largely dependent on to which place or region we belong to. Even in India, we can see people belonging to different region have different accent. When they speak, we are able to identify, oh, he is from this place, right? So she had a Scottish accent since she belonged to Scotland. Now, people were very curiously watching her perform, right? It was a great surprise for them that how is it possible that without hearing she performs so flawlessly, right? And here the writer Deborah Collies meeting with Evelyn, she is mentioning that in their 2-hour discussion, she never missed a word. And what did she say? What was one of her challenges? Her challenge was men with bushy beards. Why she says that men with bushy beards are trouble for her? Because she couldn't hear. So she watched carefully the facial expression of people who were speaking. So it was not only the lips. So when men had bushy beards, it was difficult for her to watch the movement of the lips. Not only the movement of the lips, but the expression of the whole face, especially the eyes. And as I told you, she had a little bit of Scottish accent. And what does she say? Her speech was clear, flawless. Why? Because she was not, deaf by birth. It happened gradually. So, maybe at the age of 11, till that time she had learned the language. So, she could speak flawlessly. But what is making us wonder is how she had managed to learn French and master basic Japanese also. So that was definitely her passion for learning languages and her hard work. As for music, she explains, it pours in through every part of my body. It tingles in the skin, my cheekbones, and even in my hair. When she plays the xylophone, she can sense the sound passing up the stick into her fingertips. By leaning against the drums, she can feel the resonances flowing into her body. On a wooden platform, she removes her shoes so that the vibrations pass through her bare feet and up her legs. Tingles means causes a slight prickling or stinging sensation. Resonances means echoes of sounds. Now, she says music was there in every part of her body. She said it pours through every part of my body. She could feel music, the skin, in her cheekbones, in her hair. It was there in every part of her body. And when she played the xylophone, she could sense the sound passing up the stick into her fingertips. She could feel the vibrations of the instruments when she leaned against the drums. And when she performed on a wooden platform, what she would do? She would remove her shoes so that vibrations pass through her bare feet up her legs. Not surprisingly, Evelyn delights her audiences, and in 1991, she was presented with the Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Year award, says Master Percussionist James Blades. God may have taken her hearing, but He has given her back something extraordinary. What we hear, she feels far more deeply than any of us. That is why she expresses music so beautifully. Delight means a feeling of extreme pleasure or satisfaction. Prestigious means esteemed or honored. Extraordinary means far more than usual or expected. Now, Evelyn delighted all her audiences in a surprising way. And in 1991, what happened? She was presented with the Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Year award. And here the percussionist James Blades praises her and comments by saying that maybe that God has taken her hearing, but He has gifted with something else, something extraordinary. She has done something which even normal people like us would not have done. Playing more than 1,000 instruments and speaking flawlessly, learning languages which she had not heard before. So this is definitely extraordinary. And that is why she is able to express music so beautifully. Evelyn confesses that she is something of a workaholic. I have just got to work, often harder than classical musicians, but the rewards are enormous. Apart from the regular concerts, Evelyn also gives free concerts in prisons and hospitals. She also gives high priority to classes for young musicians. Anne Richlin of the Beethoven Fund for Deaf Children says, she is a shining inspiration for deaf children. They see that there is nowhere that they cannot go. Workaholic means a person who finds it difficult to stop working, who is addicted to working. Enormous means big, large. Here, as I told you before, Evelyn was very humble. She was not proud of her talents. She says that she is a workaholic. That means she worked a lot without getting tired. And she worked more than classical musicians do. And she says, if you work hard, what happens? The results are great. You are really satisfied and you succeed. And she says, apart from regular concerts, as we have seen, she performed in many places, solo also and in orchestra also. Apart from that, she did some charity also. She performed in hospitals and in prisons. She gave free concerts. And she also gave priority. That means she gave more importance to teach musicians to young people. Anne Richlin of the Beethoven Fund for Deaf Children says that she is a great inspiration for all the deaf children. When they see Evelyn perform so well and shine like a brilliant star, and when she can do this, why they cannot? So she inspires them greatly. Evelyn Glennie has already accomplished more than most people, twice her age. She has brought percussion to the front of the orchestra and demonstrated that it can be very moving. She has given inspiration to those who are handicapped, people who look to her and say, if she can do it, I can. And not the least, she has given enormous pleasure to millions. Accomplished means achieved. Dear children, Evelyn Glennie has done more than her age. She has achieved what her age children can do, twice of that. She was hardly 17 years and she has brought percussion to the front of the orchestra. Children, if you might have watched orchestral programs, you might have seen that when an orchestra performs, the singer or the main instrument player is in the middle and the rest of the instrument is at the back or at the side. But Evelyn Glennie brought orchestra to the front because she could play so many instruments at a time. So definitely she brought all the instruments to the front. So she has given a different turn to the orchestra and she has brought it to the forefront. And She is a great inspiration to us all, especially people who are differently abled. People like her, youngsters who are differently abled. Okay? And what do they feel? When she can do, I can. Okay? So she has given that confidence to many people like her. And last but not the least, she has given enormous pleasure to millions of people. People enjoy listening to her. People enjoy see her performing flawlessly. I hope you have understood the lesson and also the main character, Evelyn Glennie. Dear children, you need to read the textbook again and again, and as we had discussed while discussing the reading skills, you need to read para by para, and after each paragraph you need to make notes and learn the difficult words and add more new words to your vocabulary and try to comprehend the lesson in a better way. Now, if you do that way, and also you have to make small questions from each paragraph and try to understand the lesson in such a manner that you will be able to answer any question. Now, if we look at this particular part, the first part about Evelyn, you will see that the main character is Evelyn and her challenge and how she overcame her challenge and became successful in her life. So maybe in this chapter, the board can ask you to write the character sketch of Evelyn Glennie. So you need to know her qualities. Let's write some of her qualities. She was hardworking. She was determined. She was hopeful. She had a flawless speech. She was sympathetic. She was humble, as we had seen, humble and down to earth. Okay? And she was, as she herself said, workaholic. Okay? And she had great passion for music. Okay? And also towards language, isn't it? She had learnt French and Japanese also. Okay? And then she was a multi-percussionist. And she was focused towards her goal. So we have seen here the qualities which Evelyn Glennie possessed. So once you have jotted down these qualities, you will be able to write a character sketch of Evelyn Glennie in your own words, right? You can write down how she has depicted these qualities in the lesson. You know how the writer has depicted all these qualities. In short questions, the role of different people who helped her out could be asked. So to begin with, it is her mother who found out about her disability, took her to the doctor, isn't it? And made her pursue her passion. And then also the percussionist, to begin with, her mother, the love and support and encouragement which she gave her to pursue her passion for music. And then Ron Forbes, the percussionist, who encouraged her greatly and created in her the feeling, the vibrations, and made her learn and to help her to master 1,000 instruments. And then the master percussionist James Blade, who also encouraged her greatly. So you must remember who are the people who encouraged her and supported her and who were behind the screen helping her out. So maybe you might get this kind of question. So the main character, Evelyn Glennie, about her hard work, about her determination, and then the people who helped her out. And also maybe in the short questions about her disability. When did it start and how did it develop gradually? So once you read the chapter again and again, and as I am repeatedly telling you, read paragraph by paragraph, try to understand them, make notes and write the qualities of characters. If you do this way and read the text in this way, you can answer any questions asked in the examination. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you in the next class. Until then, take care, stay safe, stay at home.